Hey, how's it going? I am gonna read you some cards, but first I would like you to look at my signs. In particular, with attention to this part right here that's talking about after the video, you might want to go look at the description or information box, because almost always when I get finished, I'm like, oh, I have more to say. So it is not just an afterthought, actually, although it literally is. I don't know. I don't think people like really long videos, and I can be long-winded. So, as usual, I had something on my mind. Well, several somethings, and I just wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it, because just a lot of things were crossing my mind, making me like just take pause, like, well, just put on the brakes, hold on. So I mean, I did what I usually do, pulled the cards earlier and then just let them marinate throughout the day, and then meditated and just like did all of the things that I normally do that would contribute to what goes into a video. So I don't know, I still just felt kind of lost and was hesitant to I guess start without a direction, although that sometimes works out the best. But turns out it was good I waited, because I saw a number of things that sort of gave me some clarity about what I might want to start talking about. And so my hair is in my mouth, I think. Get off. So anyway, the bottom line is it's always about like people, about us, So I guess to start off, I guess I'll talk about psychic mediums. So you can believe in them or not, of course. I choose to, but not, without sort of a form of empirical evidence, like, I guess that's kind of saying the same word twice. I can't remember the term. Double negative, not double negative. I guess, I don't know. It's the same word twice anyway, but I mean, I believe in them, but I also know that, I don't want to say that they're wrong exactly, but, or even that they're misinterpreting it. Like, it really does kind of go through a filter on us, but it's not necessarily entirely like a filter that's opinion based necessarily, because other factors like what is going on around that person in their location could have a factor even beyond like I'm actually specifically thinking in terms of like sort of like a politically right or left wing thinking type person that's a medium. And then other times there's ones that are just like, it comes out so much that it's their obvious leaning that I feel like I can't like I guess take them seriously or take them for reliable or correct, because the ones that I'm talking about, I don't have names for you. I don't know that I ever knew their names, or once, well, they turn out to be incorrect is what it is. But the thing about that is it's incorrect now. At a future time, things could be completely different, and they could be correct. So that's something to keep in mind when you're like watching these people. But anyway, I try to keep all my options open, like, because I just want to hear everything. I mean, that's why I was interested in, like, the QAnon people, which they called them. Well, I don't know that they called themselves then. Yeah, I guess they did. Well, anyway, I started talking to them around the time, about a year before Trump got elected, just because I was curious, you know, like, oh, conspiracy theory and this, that, and the other thing. And it just happened at the time that I was particularly unhappy with Democrats, and was publicly saying what had been true for a long time, because no social media before that, but just kind of disillusionment and disgust with the Democrats and the process of voting and elections in general and the government. Like, just over my lifetime, I just have seen, like, the quality of what you get for your vote and what it's supposed to be, and what people stand in front of your face and say that they know they're not going to turn around and go actually do. They'll do like the opposite, or just stop talking about it altogether and move on to other stuff. And you kind of have to do that, you know, because the world moves on and other priorities come up, but you can't just forget about stuff. And, you know, especially when you know that you're not going to go back and, like, keep your word, you know. And I understand why a lot of people now are like, you know, if they voted, you know, Democrat, they're like there's a population of black people I know that are just like, screw it, I'm just done with the Democrats. They never say what they're gonna do, and I'm gonna go try this other thing. And I'm like, I will not be joining you. But I didn't say that last part. It just didn't matter, you know, like, we just wasn't talking about those other people and their belief system. So, or, you know, yeah, I'll go with that. So, but I was kind of spouting off, just like, you know, I don't like the Democrats anymore. I don't want to be a part of it, you know. And so I attracted the attention of, what's that kid's name? Ryan Fournier, who, let's look him up. And then, like, we corresponded like a little tiny bit, and I didn't really know who he was, except that I knew he was like a super conservative young guy. And we didn't really have much to say to each other outside of that. And when I say young guy, he was just like significantly younger than me, like in his 20s. So, and that doesn't mean that we wouldn't have things in common. It's just that, like, his whole field of interest and kind of world was around, like, conservative Republicanism, and mine is not. Nor is it around the other end of the scale. I would rather do away with all of that stuff, but it is in the world. It's our system, so you do have to be aware of it and interact with it, because whether you like it or not, it does affect your life. I just have my views on the whole thing has evolved, but I'll tell you what, I know that there ain't no way in hell, no matter how disappointed I am with the Democrats, that I'm going to vote for the Republicans, especially if it's Trump as president. He has like nothing to offer me. I'm not flim-flammed and bamboozled by his talk. I knew who he was before he ran. A lot of people didn't, and now they don't believe it. They just like him, and they like things that seem outlandish to me, and want to go forward with like that whole agenda, and I am not for it. Sorry. But anyway, back to the mediums. So every once in a while I'll just start watching another medium. I have one that he's a fairly neutral reader and speaker in general, but I know that he is going to be a Biden voter, let's put it that way. And so but that's one of the reasons I like him. He's like very efficient, and like there's nothing sort of extraneous and unnecessary added to what he says as far as the readings. And he doesn't reveal a whole lot about himself, but I just know that he would be a Biden voter. And then there's other mediums, and I've looked for them. And let me just also say that this particular medium, Sterling Psychic Medium, that's his title of his YouTube channel, which is where I see him, but he has a .com, but Sterling Psychic Medium. His name is Sterling. And so I also look to see what the other end of the scale might be saying, like I always have. And like I said, I have found a couple, and their predictions have not been right, like at the time at least. Still not, as far as I know. And like I said, like, your filter can get a little opinion in it too, so you have to watch out for that. But I think that particular person has such an effect on people and just hits like the right buttons for people somehow, but they're like not right for me ideologically, because it's just gonna turn into a more contained version of what they have against people and what their diagnosis for dealing with like problems that they don't like or they don't want to deal with or that they don't believe in. That phrase, I don't know if I've talked about it yet, but I'll get there. It kind of gets under my like a burr under my saddle. But anyway, I have found a couple. As far as I can find, there doesn't seem to be a lot of them out there, but I'm on the mainstream sites, you know. I'm not like on Rumble or Gab or even Reddit. I don't like that Reddit wants to tell you how many times you can like make a comment or whatever, and then you get voted up and down. The hell with that. I'm trying to get away from that voting crap. That is what is I understand the reason for, you know, like maybe it's security with Reddit, you know, like to prevent certain kind of like talk from happening, but to me it's just like you're cock blocking me for nothing, and I don't like, who needs it? So whatever. But I know there's a lot of opinions that I've seen there that made me raise an eyebrow. It just feels icky there to me. So I'm not like deep into what's going on with them in their talk. Since they got kicked off Twitter, I was just like, okay, I think I'm done with that anyway. And then I see how it's evolved like publicly. It's kind of messy. Shh, getting all opinion. I have one. Hi. But anyway, I came across this medium one day, and she was getting a channeled message from angels. So that's why I started looking at it. But I was listening to her, and I thought, is she she's like British or Australian, I think. She might be Australian. But I was like, is she Kiwi? Like, and then like today, I wasn't quite sure, because, you know, she didn't say like the keywords. Well, I guess it is. Today it was anyway. But I got like a scent of it. I was like, I don't know about her now, because the angel reading was so good. But anyway, I saw her like another time, and just for whatever reason it was too long or something, and I didn't I guess the title didn't grab me, but this title did. And she's talking, well, anyway, she's talking, and all of a sudden in the middle of it, she's all pandemic, and I was all, oh, I knew I sniffed it. But I just let her keep going because all of the other stuff she was saying actually was in line with this other psychic, Sterling. So I was like, okay. And that made me feel good because that feels like a rift coming together, like at least an approachability, you know, to a level of understanding, or like active interconnectedness, like it's ridiculous here in the States. If not, it's not with everyone, but the group that's pretty much like the former president's people, and in a lot of cases it's not specifically about him, it's about money and all the grossness that goes along with like wanting all of it and more of it, and other people to not have things like that is the stuff that just, you know, I don't like it. So, you know, I haven't finished her video, but then she said like some other things that were like hitting me personally, like, you can relate to this is meaningful to you, and it doesn't like break my program, you know, like doesn't go against anything that I'm cool with. But like that's what I'm looking for. I want there to be an accessibility between groups that don't necessarily agree. This woman and I agree on more things than not, and I don't actually know, like I said, she doesn't fill the whole content of whatever she's doing with that kind of stuff, but occasionally a little opinion will get into her filter, I guess. And that's okay. It's a process. So I guess one of the things, given what I just said, that I had on my mind involved tolerance, and it has a pretty big basis in like some personal stuff that I'm experiencing right now, and also just like looking at stuff that, well, it's familiar, looked one way and now looks very very different, and it's opened me up to finding out more about a subject than I had an idea, but it's like it's not my thing, not my area of expertise, and it's very enlightening that what it's saying about me. But I know that with this particular subject, I have opinions, I have conditions. But I want to get past that, and I feel like in a way I have. I'm being kind of chicken, not just saying it. I'm looking at this card in my hand that says taking chances. So I'll put it like this. Right now I'm doing my best to adhere to some sort of spiritual standards, to raise my vibration, and I just feel like it's such an overall health advance that I feel like it's a benefit to heal stuff in you that's messed up, uncertain, whatever. So I obviously am black, but like I've talked about before, even though I've spent plenty of time with my family and like the extended family, black people and culture are not a huge part of my life. As a pretty young kid, my mom moved me out from like the area where they were pretty much, and then like pretty much everybody that I was around was like white people. So And there's so much to say about that, but I'm not gonna say most of it. But I have issues with, I guess, blackness and mine, people close to me, people not close to me, and it just is also kind of just like a curiosity, like, how does this work, kind of thing. And I guess, and this is like, I feel like right now we're all kind of purging different things, like involuntarily. Like, I would not prefer not to bring all of this up and feel all of the things that I'm feeling about it, because the reason why I have problems is because I've experienced problems. And the thing that brought stuff up, even though it's not been my experience, what is being reported, it's triggering. So this whole Puff Daddy thing, or Sean Combs business, where he's under investigation, and there's people that are not police, they're just like colleagues or other black people, and people into rap and a whole bunch of other stuff that I don't know nothing about, and I don't want to. But I guess he has had for years this reputation of these really weird, to me, hedonistic parties where it's kind of like, don't drink stuff. You better hope somebody can warn you about, you know, basically getting dosed and drugged and taken advantage of. So that sounds awful. So, like, that's one thing, and I kind of am not surprised about it, because another black person was talking about it, and they just let fly. They're like, oh yeah, his dad or grandfather, I'm not sure how old that guy is, Combs, but anyway, his father or his grandfather was in the organization that the movie American Gangster was about, and so his dad was not Frank Lucas, who was the American Gangster guy, but one of his people below him or something, but like a close associate, I guess. And until this came out, like, the rumors about him being this guy that just like eliminated people that he didn't like or got in his way somehow, I didn't know about this at all until this, you know, like the white party thing, like that or the F-offs, which, look it up yourself. I had no idea that that's what that was about, and I wish it was just what I thought. I thought it was like, you can't wear white after a certain time, stupid fashion thing, because he's supposed to be all whatever. I don't know. New York stuff is weird. But boy, was I wrong about that. Then that's all like coming out. But then, so this, like I said, this guy he was on YouTube and he was talking about it, and I was like, wow, okay, I guess now all of those rumors make a little more sense. But then there's other people like talking about it, and it is like totally like everybody's having this experience. Everyone's here on the earth, right, to do something, and this stuff does not sound spiritual at all, what Combs is doing. It sounds very much like what Epstein was doing, and so, gee, that should just tell you there's pockets of that crap everywhere. It made me think of Warren Jeffs and the fundamentalist Mormons. I don't know, there was just some weird stuff that came out when Jeffs first started getting arrested, but stuff like that tends to get buried, I think, because it's just disturbing and also may point to other people. And that's why I think so many people end up missing or, eliminated, because someone just doesn't want something to come out about them or their organization. So it's so so much of this stuff is coming out right now. But I was looking at someone else talking about, like, an insider, I guess, and I don't know, I guess this person's in the entertainment industry, but I'm not sure, like, what they do. Like, I don't know if they're comic or music, because they seem to know, like, all of these people in both communities, which is not unusual. I just don't know who they are. But boy, do they have a lot to say about all of that stuff that's going on, and all these people. They're naming people that I never heard of. Like, it's a bunch of rap stuff, which, unless it gets huge and is on the radio a lot, I probably am not going to know anything about it. And what's fascinating to me is that she and this other comedian he promotes himself just fine, so I'm not going to name him. But he's been on a different interview show, Shay Shay, Club Shay Shay it's called, and just saying, like, a lot of the same stuff that other person that I don't know what they do was saying, and they are also, they're like friends with Williams, I guess. Cat Williams is who it is, so there you go. On Club Shay Shay. But I understand the indignation and the horror about the Combs stuff, but then it gets into, like, why he's so horrified about it, and he's protective, very loudly and vocally protective of a certain area of his body. And I just think, like, man, do you know how telling that is, that you're telling so loud and hard about that particular thing is? There's history of that with people. But, I just recently took up a new saying, and it takes all kinds, because it is like everywhere you look, there's beautiful stuff and beautiful people, but also, like, just tucked right into the armpit of that or between the butt cheeks of that are just creepy people doing creepy stuff, and they're, like, publicly known, but now their privately known is coming out. And they wouldn't be here if they weren't necessary to the whole process. Oh, shoot. I missed something. Crap, I gotta hurry up and finish this. Okay, well, I had also come across this channeling, and it was just from a different person, not the psychic I was talking about before. This person just channels. I don't know if they're psychic or whatever, but it was Daniel Scranton, and he was channeling the creators, and it says, "We know that you're struggling at times to maintain a higher vibration, and we also know that you do not always see the connection between your vibration and what you are creating and manifesting in your experience. So, like, you're trying to have a high vibration, but meanwhile in the armpit, there's this other stuff going on that looked one way at one point, and, like, now it was completely different looking, and you're like, oh, if you're me, I did not want to know that." But if you look at your current state of life circumstances and ask yourself what the general tone is of those life circumstances, you can usually find your current vibration within them. In other words, you can tell what you've been vibrating by the unique circumstances of your life experience in any given moment. That is good to know. I mean, it's a good perspective, because it goes along with what I say about, like, mind your garden, because it's like, you don't have to spend time in the armpit, or if you do, it sounds like, even from what I'm doing, it's not a good idea to spend a lot of time there. So I thought that was, like I said, good to know for these times. It's hard to like maintain your vibration and not be judgmental, and I find that when I start doing the judging and not just observing, then well, I'm not doing it right. I don't feel like I'm doing it right, so I turn it back on myself, and because it's said quite a lot, if you see something that you don't like or that you hate about someone else, it's reflecting something about you that you dislike, and that's what you need to get down on, and not the other person. And that's staying in your garden. So I pulled one of my angel cards, and it was 0303, taking chances. And it says success, knowledge, friendship, impatience, freedom, optimism. Success. Well, the people with the success and power doing weird stuff. Knowledge. Well, now I know. I don't think I want to know, but there's probably a reason. Otherwise, it wouldn't be knowledge. Friendship. Well, from the sound of it, those parties, you think you're being invited to a party, like you're gonna have fun with friends, and well, you're always taking a chance going to a party because it could just be a dud. This is a little bit more than a dud. It's like a lot more dangerous. It's causing people to act ways. It's causing people to think they can do things to other people that are not good. Impatience. Yeah, I think a lot of people are impatient. Like the people that I was talking about, like everybody talking about stuff. I mean, it's not just that they're out there talking mess, right? And this was like really striking to me. It's about a deep wound that these people are doing this to other people like themselves, that look like themselves, and the guy had cameras everywhere, so catching people in the act of things to protect himself, obviously, and that is just crappy. I mean, I see like why it's raising all this ire. They are impatient with this. Like, don't we have enough to contend in the world, without like attacking ourselves? But that's kind of like the thing we're doing in this country right now, the United States. Freedom. Well, that is a word, I guess. Well, we like to think it's associated with the United States. I don't know how it's felt about overseas. Might have a difference of opinion. But the impatience might lead to a lot of freedom for people. Freedom to say what they have not felt they could say, like unpleasantness. And I'm just using a word to kind of sand down the edges. And, that is freeing, to be able to say, this has had me pinned down for so long, and it felt like it was dangerous. I mean, these people are talking about danger involved with talking about this stuff, and it's freeing. So, I guess they're getting freedom out of it, and it's not nothing, like if something happens to someone, you'll see a whole reams worth of quotes of people saying, me too again, me too, as if like somebody was making that up, or as if like what they're saying is not hurtful. It's also that Quiet on Set movie is bringing out similar stuff. It's like people are really having a hard time like getting consent from people, and just because you want it and you can buy a lot of stuff, you gotta realize people are not commodities. You can commoditize them, but really that's just, I don't know, that ain't right. So, it's ugly and we're going through it, but sometimes, there has to be turbulence, there has to be like disagreement to figure out like what's wrong, what needs to be worked out. So I know that sounds really simplified, but it's kind of basically what the process has to do in a lot of cases. And I think that's what we're having right now. So optimism is the last keyword on here before the body of the text. And I feel like, like this other like this channeling says, we know that you're struggling at times to maintain a higher vibration. I recently saw like on one of my spiritual things that, it was crying, that said that you don't have to go through trauma to, level up and raise your vibration, but maybe you do until you learn how not to. Either way, I'm optimistic that the process is, happening on a number of fronts. It's not just those gross things. It's also other stuff that's gross in different ways, like financially gross, or, real estate gross, or chemical gross, because, you get the gist. Reading the text. When chances present themselves, seize them and do something out of the ordinary. Whether in your professional or personal life, you will find success by welcoming creative impulses and having faith in your own abilities. Trust in chance and take risks on opportunities that could change your life for the better. That sounds like one of those business affirmations. Like you gotta fail like a million times to get it right. So I pulled 2 cards from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. This beauty right here, without glare, please. And the first one I pulled was the number 61 card, Whale Song, Resonating. So you notice that whale there is in a, is it an orca? No, it's a blue whale. The whale is in a orb ringlet type bubble thing. It's like in a water capsule. As if it's going somewhere. But when I first pulled it, I was like, oh my God, that reminds me of that Star Trek movie. Something about the something home. I got something I gotta do. And the subtitle on here is Resonating, and I thought, man, that resonates with me today. The protective bubble around the precious being that I think they're wise. Like, they're wise in like folk culture, I think, but just through like spiritual information like Cryon, I've learned that they're not what we think they are. I don't think they're even really from here originally. I think they were seeded here on Earth because their presence adds something to the whole of this place. And the resonating, the stuff that I was just talking about that's coming out about all these people that where you thought they were one thing and they are absolutely something else, and what you could see was like an act, because like maybe it was from like the entertainment industry, and people in there tend to be somewhat dramatic. But you have this precious being inside this protective bubble of water, and they're sending out a message, like they're up above whatever location this is here. Like, you can see space in the background, so it's like hovering over another planet, it looks like. I don't know what that is. Ain't never been there before, as far as I know. But, it's a metaphor. But the whale is putting out a message, and it's protected because the message is precarious to its general health, and it comes from a place where, like, here the whales, their habitat, we kind of really messed it up, and we need to get on, like, reversing that, because not just for the whale, everything on this planet is connected to everything else's survival. It may be in a different location, and, like, maybe the flora can't survive in the area that it's in because the water is salt water or something, whatever, but the byproduct of each thing in its location has an effect on everything everywhere else. So I just feel like it's interesting that the whale would come from a place that is so beautiful, and just we've abused it like we do with each other. We're so beautiful, and we do terrible things to each other sometimes. It's part of the plan, but, you know, also part of the plan is realization, and we weren't really seeing what was happening behind closed doors and cases, and we're now learning things about people. The message is starting to resonate. So, you know, this kind of brings me back to what the other card was saying, optimism. It's like, I think this is a dreamed up insect, but it's drawn to the light, like a lot of them are. I don't know if they all are, you know. I don't know, are the unwinged ones trying to leap up into the light too? I don't know. It could be they just, like, keep their mind on their business. You know, ants got business, bees got business. Maybe they're not, well, bees have wings. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just babbling. But anyway, I just feel like this is a post period of darkness, like maybe in a cocoon where stuff didn't get in, stuff didn't resonate. You just heard and saw, like, the surface level of stuff. And now that you're bursting out into understanding and illumination, I mean, it's almost like a melancholy feeling right now, like, if that's the right word. Oh, this is the number 48 card, by the way, and the subtitle is Surrender, which, you surrender yourself to the light. You know, insects also, certain ones, I'm thinking this one might go through like a metamorphosis stage, like a moth or a butterfly. Since I don't think it's an actual insect, I don't know. I'm just gonna imagine it does. And it has to go through a dark period, you know, like, and then you know, periods all pass eventually. So it's born and it's seeking light out of the darkness. And so this card I pulled from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and it's Stingray. And you'll see that it has like a rainbows happening there, but I believe that's chakras. And they're all lit up, which indicates activity, like maybe like a kundalini thing. I don't know why this is reminding me of a snake right here, which is sort of the embodiment of the kundalini energy, but the card represents a leveling up. I know that's what the book says. I'm not going to dig it out. And, you know, by coming across this information, it may be hard to take, but, you know, we can do it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, you know. We can take just exactly what's handed out to us, you know, if we're willing. If not, then things will go a different way, but I don't think that's the direction this reading is heading anyway. I was going to say something about the chakras. I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I know I have to hurry up and finish, so of course I grind to a halt. That's helpful. Okay, I guess I gotta get the book out. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot, because I knocked something over. So it has the water element icon there at the top. I mean, so emotion, like going through stuff, and it's constant. Like, stingray does not leave the habitat. Like, it's just in there, and it has to deal with whatever comes. And that's kind of like, you know, I guess, and a mascot for life for us, because it doesn't, it really, like, it just don't stop. Oh, that's fire, so I want water. There we go. Oh, I'm locked. You know, those things I was talking about, like, I kind of, like, I really have to, like, endeavor to keep the judgment out of it, knowing that I have, like, personal feelings that are triggered by what I'm hearing, which is why I have issues. But I know that the only way to work through it is to face it, even if it's ugliness, because unfortunately, a lot of what the issues involve is ugliness of that nature. So there just is not, it needs to be faced, and that's why it's, like, right now in our faces. So, Stingray, developing confidence, sense of self, or spine. The Stingray card represents a pivotal point in personal growth. The moment has come when the Stingray must decide between the old, easy, comfortable, and familiar, and the new, challenging, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar. Taking chances. Pressure from family and friends makes the decision even more complicated. Friends and family all involved in what I was just talking about, big time. No matter what choice is made now, it's inevitable that this dilemma will surface again and again as the force of Dharma growing within the Stingray is too strong to ignore. So, I mean, we could take that as just like a whole human experience. Stuff has to keep repeating until we finally get it and, like, you know, get whatever we're supposed to get out of it, and it's time to move on to the next thing. But we get to do it collectively. That's why I guess it's taken us so long to quit warring on each other and preying on each other. Anyway, when in balance, eager, wants to grow. When out of balance, blames others, quits. To bring into balance, move through the discomfort. You gotta face it and deal with it. What did I just say? I love these cards, man. I just want to say, before I started doing this, I studied other people for like 3 years and read half of my really thick tarot book. Couldn't get a simple guide. Had to get the encyclopedia. But anyway, I just want to say, if you're like feeling insecure, like, man, I don't know if I can do it, I watched and watched and watched, and then I got some cards for myself just to see what it was like, and then finally one day I was like, just do it, quit screwing around. You know you want to, just do it. And I seem to be doing okay, you know, like 600 videos later, but yay me. I mentioned that just to say, like, all of that stuff, you get through it, and also that's not your whole life. There are things else in your life that are beautiful, happy, joyful, just right there within your reach. All you gotta do is, you know, take avail of them. Thank you and good night.